Greetings, my fellow snake lovers. Today, I'm covered in snakes. So, yeah, we got, of course, we got Boacia, Orion, and Aries. And this video is going to be pretty much mostly about me kind of updating, the snakes that you already know about. And then, telling you a little bit more, especially about Orion, because last time he didn't have a name. And Aries, which is kind of totally new to the group, and also have a bit of announcement at the end, a decision that I've made and whatever as to basically what I want to do with my future. So, and I'll probably go into more detail about it in later videos, but at the end of the video I'll mention that. So be sure to stick around for that if that interests you. But for now we're going to go ahead and get into talking about all these pythons one by one. One of the reasons I haven't really been doing videos lately is aside from, of course, the main thing that everyone already knows about with the pandemic and everything that's been going on with that, and worrying about finances, jobs, whatnot, and also dealing with some health issues and whatnot. So currently I'm wearing one of these deals. So that's basically a heart monitor, and luckily it comes off tomorrow. But it's been on for 4 days now. It's today's the 5th day. So I've been between worrying about this stuff, job, money, finances, paying bills, and all that. I haven't really been doing much with YouTube. So but other than that, let's get moving on, and get to the snakes. So here we have Boacia. As you can see, she's actually gotten quite big, a lot bigger than she was in the last video. And I'll stretch her out a little bit so you can kind of get a good idea. But currently she's measuring 3 foot 2 inches and weighing in at 777 grams. And by now she should be a little more than that. I haven't weighed her in probably about a couple weeks. So, and the new developments with her is we had a little bit of a issue with feeding for a bit, where she'd only take a single mouse, and that was it. I'd throw the next mouse in and she would actually avoid it. So, and run away from it. And as soon as it got away from the hide or wherever that she wanted to get into, she'd duck in and basically avoid the second mouse. So I went to raising them up to get them as big as I could before I fed them to her, because I knew she was only going to take one. So, and towards the end, she did finally start taking 2 again. Now, aside from that, the last time I did a video, she was on live. And at the time, that's the only thing that she would take. Tried frozen rats, frozen mice. Nothing seemed to work. And I think it was about 4 weeks ago now, I decided that I would try to give her a frozen, a large frozen mouse. And thawed it out and all that, of course, warmed it up. And I figured, no big deal. I mean, I figured she was going to refuse it, and I'd just go the next day and get her some live. But I was feeding the other snakes anyway. So I figured, no big deal. I'll give it to Orion because, my pinstripe, because he basically he eats like a boa. He'll eat anything. So, but much to my surprise, I dropped that frozen mouse down in there, and she actually took it. And she took it, she constricted it like she was killing it, and then down the hatch it went. So, that was a very surprising turn of events, and that was about 4 weeks ago, and every time I've put frozen in since, she's taken it. So, I don't know what changed, but, I'm not going to ask questions. So, she's finally unfrozen thawed. It only took over 2 years to get her on it, so not too bad. But all in all, she's still doing very well. She's healthy, no respiratory problems, no mice, nothing like that. She's doing perfectly fine, other than she really could stand to have a little extra weight on her. But other than that, she's doing really well. So, I mean, as you can see. But I'll go ahead and we'll get her back in her tank, and I'm gonna get out Orion the pinstripe. In the last video, he actually didn't have a name yet because the only video that he appeared in was the very day that I got him. So we'll go ahead and get her situated, back in her habitat here, and we're going to pull out Orion the pinstripe. Alrighty, so here we have Orion. Last time he was on camera, he was just this little small baby pinstripe sitting in my hand, and now he has actually grown a decent bit. He's kind of coming around the other side of my hand, but if this kind of gives you an idea how big he's gotten. The last time I measured him, which was a little bit ago, he was measuring about 30 inches. And he weighs in at 472 grams. So he's done very, very well. He was, I believe, 93 grams when I first, on day one when I first got him. And he's pretty much, he's still just the way he was when the day I picked him up. He's very laid back. I haven't had much issue with him being defensive. He did for a very short time, for like maybe less than a week or whatever, and that was because I'd stopped handling him for about a week, because I got busy with some other stuff, and I didn't have a lot of time. And my wife had put her hand in to go pick him up, and he took a shot at her. Didn't bite, but just did the little nose bump thing. So I reached down to pick him up, and he nose bumped me as well. So like basically a warning strike. So I was like, oh yeah, no, we're not doing this. So I reached down behind him, picked him on up, got him a hand, and he was just like, okay. So after about a few days, he calmed back down and whatnot, and he's been fine ever since. So I'm not sure exactly. Like I said, he was still really young when that happened. So that's why, when they're babies, I try to handle them pretty often. So basically, when they first come home after that first initial week of not messing with them and letting them just kind of settle in, after that, as long as he hasn't fed within the last 2 to 3 days, I handled him on a daily basis, the same as I did Boacia. So, but after that little instance, never had another issue out of him. He's been very easygoing. I can stick my hand in the tank anytime, and he doesn't try to strike or nothing like that. He just sits there and waits for me to pick him up. So, he's very good-natured and laid-back, ball python. So, but see if we can kind of get a closer shot of him, because so we can get a good look at him. But this snake here, this is one that actually started getting me interested in morphs. Because as you recall from like my first few videos I've ever done on this channel, I said I wasn't really into the morphs. I didn't really care much for the morphs. I liked the wild type or the normals and whatnot. And my wife had found him at a pet store. I was getting supplies for Bodacia's 20-gallon tank, and I walked up and she was actually sitting there holding this guy right here. So I held him, looked at him, and of course, in the video I told the rest of the story. I felt sorry for him because he had some stuck shed and whatnot, and wound up taking him home along with all the other stuff. So, but not a big deal. We had that 10-gallon waiting for him anyway. But he has since then moved into his own 20-gallon, and he's been quite happy in his 20-gallon. So we got one more to go, and yes, I have a third snake. So I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna put Orion up, and whatnot, and we'll go ahead and bring out the third snake. And here we are, snake number 3. I picked him up. I think it was like the end of June, like June 29th, June 30th, somewhere in there. And yeah, wound up bringing him home. His name is Aries. Actually, that was the name that the pet store had given him. They'd given him the name Aries, and he had a bit of an attitude. So the name seemed pretty fitting. You know, Aries, the Greek god of war. So, given his attitude at the time, it seemed pretty fitting. So I just left his name as Aries. So, because seemed to fit him pretty well. So this little bugger was fairly defensive for a decent while, for about the first couple months or whatever. And with my other 2 snake purchases, Boacia and dude, what are you doing? But with Boacia and Orion, the pet employees reached in, picked them up by hand, and all that. I don't know if it has something to do, with the pandemic or whatnot, but the employee there, one, he did state that he's been bitten several times by snakes, and he wouldn't touch this one with his bare hands. He instead used a snake hook, which is the first time I've seen anyone there ever grab a snake hook. So, like I said, I don't know, it could be partly the pandemic, or it could just be that he was scared of getting bit again. But I do recall him, pulling the enclosure out and stuff so he could get in with the hook. And he's like, well, let's see how angry you are today. I'm going, it's like, what am I getting myself into? So, he basically lowered the hook down. He kind of flinched kind of hard, and he's like, yep, you're pretty mad. But he did get him on the snake hook and lift him out and set him down into, those little cardboard box things that, they send small animals home with you in. Same thing they'd put like a mouse or whatever. I mean, it was a cardboard box, probably about this big, about that tall. Look like a giant version of a McDonald's Happy Meal box, But yeah, they put him in one of those and whatever, and I went ahead and paid for everything, including Aries. Got him home, and I didn't really have much trouble getting him into his enclosure, per se. Every time I would reach down to pick him up, he would coil up and his neck would S back, and he'd recoil back with, of course, his head and his neck raised above the ground and the rest of his body, which is a defensive position. And when they do that, they are subject to bite you at any time. And he did that for 2 months. So what I had to do is just be very smooth and slow with my motions. I had to reach down behind him, to get my fingers under him and then pick him up, and I would put him in the center of my hand and just let him sit there until he chilled out, and then he'd kind of lower himself back down, and then he'd start slithering around my fingers, and then everything was good. But there was, towards the beginning, he'd sit there for about a good 10 minutes like that. So I just sat there very still so that, he could get used to the idea that, I wasn't going to hurt him and nobody else was going to hurt him. But he eventually did get over it, and now I can reach my hand in just like with the other 2. I can put my hand in there anytime, pick him on up. I ain't got to worry about nothing. He doesn't get defensive anymore and all that. And, he's yeah, he's chilled out really nicely, and he's pretty much just as easygoing as the other two. So, but yeah, we'll give you a close-up view of him. So, when I got him, he was small. He had a little length to him, but he was skinny, and almost downright bony. He was 84 grams, probably somewhere along the lines of about 17 to 18 inches. So, and on his body, yeah, I mean, it's still a little bit of a sharpened triangle, but he's actually put on a decent bit of weight since I've had him. Like I said, I've had him since June. He's not missed a meal. He eats a small mouse every week. So, and I check the size of the mouse to make sure that it's not too big for his body, but also to make sure that they're not too small and I don't need to go up a size. So far the small mice that I have for him are pretty much seem like just the right size for him, and he eats one every week. He's putting on weight. He was 84 grams when I got him. He is now 130 grams. So yeah, I was quite pleased when he broke the 100 gram mark, and he's just been climbing ever since. So yeah, but he's a very good eater. I don't think once he gets big enough, I don't think I'll have an issue at all getting him switched over to frozen thawed rats, because he seems like kind of like Orion. He doesn't too much care what it is as long as it's food. But yeah, he ate frozen thawed right off the bat. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I started Orion on, because I had the debate going whether or not I should give Orion live to start off with, or if I should try frozen thawed first. Well, I went with the live option, because I figured it's going to be just like Boacia, no point. And, well, I was wrong. But anyway, I started him off on live. So I fed him live for a little bit, and then I tried frozen thawed on him, and bam, right off the bat. No issues, no nothing. Took the frozen thawed, down it went. So I was like, okay. And those were frozen thawed mice. So then, once he got a little bit more size on him, I started getting them rats. At first they were fuzzy rats, and now, then I bumped up to rat pups and all that, and he's probably getting ready to need to be bumped up again. But yeah, he went from frozen thawed mice straight to rats, no problem. So yeah, Orion, he doesn't care what it is as long as he can eat it. So, and I'm hoping this little guy will be the same way. So yeah, as soon as I put anything, as soon as I drop a mouse down there on a pair of tongs, yeah, he'll rep it right out of the tongs. So yeah, he's a very good eater as well. So, and yeah, one other thing that I will mention before I end the video, and that's I got 2 more snakes on the way that I bought from a professional breeder. So I know exactly what they are. I know exactly when they were born, and I know which one's a male and which one's a female. They're both pastels, and they are both heterozygous for pied. So the reason I have these 2 particular snakes on the way, they'll be here next week. They should be on Wednesday, December 3rd, is that I made the decision that I'm going to start breeding ball pythons. I've been thinking about it for the past year, literally for about 1 year now. Just going over everything, making sure, can I do this? Am I prepared to do it? Am I ready to commit? And, well, a few days ago, I decided that I'm ready to commit to it. And this pair of pastel het pieds that are on their way are going to be the first pair of snakes I've bought for breeding purposes. Now, they are still young. I think, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm reading the codes right from the breeder, which I'll know for sure once they get in, but I think they're currently like 9 months and 7 months old at this point. So probably about a couple more years. The female will be close to 3 years old. We'll see what her weight's like, make sure the follicles are developing and whatnot, and we'll go from there. But I'm hoping in like a couple of years they will be ready. But during the meantime, I'm also going to get some stuff together. I need to start getting rack systems and stuff built up, because there's going to be, more than that. I'm also going to be trying to acquire some actual adults, ones that are ready to breed. So, and I got some other morphs in mind. It's just a matter of if I can find them, at the right prices and make sure the animals are healthy and, and whatnot. So hopefully by this coming, by 2021, I'm hoping by the 2021 breeding season that I will be breeding some of my first ball pythons and producing my very first baby snakes. So, and I will keep you up to date in these kind of vlogs and let you know how that's going. So, but for now, that's all I got. I'm going to put this little guy, back in his enclosure. And next time, I'm going to try to do something about this setup, because I don't like this mic here. It's kind of in the way of the camera. It's in the way of, me, also trying to show you the snakes and stuff. So I'll try to figure something out with this. So, that's pretty much all I've got for the time being. So I'm going to go ahead and put him up and go ahead and end this video. Y'all have a good day. Bye.